Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight, live on KMTV. I'm Naila Mohammed and here are your top stories on Tuesday the 10th of March. Clash in Cliftonville as voters prepare for hotly contested KCC by-election.
I actually feel very disillusioned.
Two-party system is broken.
But I prefer reforms policies now.
Believe in B Corp. Tunbridge Wells hosts local summit to encourage more Kent businesses to make the switch.
This B Corp business, which is about your community, your staff and your business, all of those work together really well in Tunbridge Wells.
And finally, Made in Kent, our weekly show that takes a look at local businesses that shape the county.
The challenges are none.
Your top story tonight. The fight for a hotly contested by-election in Thanet is underway in Reform UK's first electoral test since taking County Hall last summer. Sparked by the previous councillor for the area being put behind bars for coercive behaviour, all the major parties at Kent County Council are looking for a win in Cliftonville, which was one of the divisions to turn turquoise in 2025. Local democracy reporter Ollie Leader was out speaking to voters on the coast about where their heats lie.
The first spring sunshine here in Thanet and the promise of change in the air. After all, a month from now, voters will flock to the polls for a Kent County Council by-election touted to be hotly contested. Cliftonville isn't just an idyllic slice of Kentish coastline, but the first electoral challenge for Reform UK since sweeping the local elections last year, with the Greens, Conservatives and Labour all confident they could win here in the division.
No, I'll never vote Conservative or Labour.
To be honest, I've lost faith in the system.
They're thinking about just only big business.
Down here, I don't know. I'm a bit of a lost soul.
Blue skies and turquoise waves, a political divide looming on the horizon. This was once a safely Conservative division, until last May when Daniel Taylor was elected under the Reform banner. Less than a year later, Taylor is behind bars after pleading guilty to coercive behaviour. A criminal history showing little sign of coming back to roost in the by-election sparked by his sentencing.
God, I know he lives a couple of doors away from me. I mean, well, it's not Reform's fault, is it really?
Well, I suppose I'd probably go to Reform rather than any of the others, but that's mainly because of disappointment with both Tory and Labour.
I probably might do Reform again, actually, because it won't be that same bloke anyway.
A cliff edge in support was always unlikely. Reform UK did secure 40% of the vote here last year, but a turn in electoral fortune isn't unprecedented. Labour painted Thanet District Council red back in 2023. Among the bungalows, that success feels further away than it has ever before.
People is thinking Labour is been doing for work people, for small business is going better. My opinion is not now.
With Labour facing challenges in Westminster, voters closer to home are casting their eyes elsewhere.
So I look at the Green Party as what I think people saw the Lib Dems as being, which was the option if you didn't want to vote Labour or Conservative.
I like their policies and believe what they're saying, which is quite refreshing in politics at the moment. So they are most likely to get my vote. It's just that awful stalemate of is it a wasted vote?
Are they fit to run a country? Probably not. Are they fit to run local council? Probably.
Council by-elections are notoriously low turnout. Margins matter here, and there are plenty of unknowns. But speaking to those on the street, local issues are barely coming up. Drawing a line in the sand against the national picture might prove difficult. Ollie Leader in Cliftonville.
And if you live in that division and want to vote, you'll need to register by the 20th of March, where you can choose from the following candidates: Charlie Lays for the Conservatives, Rob Yates for Greens, Dr. Mo Shafei for Liberal Democrats, Joanne Bright for Labour, and Mark Vatican for Reform UK. And now a baby was left with two skull fractures and brain hemorrhages after being attacked by an XL bully. The owner, Jordan Williams, then aged 18, was upstairs in his bedroom when Hunter attacked, leaving onlookers to pull the canine away. The child had to be airlifted to King's College Hospital and placed in a medically induced coma. Williams was given a 6-month custodial term, 150 hours of unpaid work, and disqualified from owning a dog for 6 years. Now, dramatic police footage has captured the moment a thief in Tunbridge tried to escape arrest by jumping from a second-floor window. Officers say they were taken aback by the risk that he took. Now, our reporter Josh Elgin joins us in the studio now. So, Josh, can you talk us through a bit of the footage, please?
Yeah, so the footage shows officers trying to arrest 33-year-old Bobby Thorpe. As they attempt to force their way in, officers hear a loud crash outside. When the officers run to the back of the building, they realise he's jumped straight out a second-floor window and landed on a neighbour's garage. One of the officers, PC Ben Cooper, then makes his way over a garden fence in pursuit of Thorpe. As he follows a trail of broken tiles strewn across the garage roof, a member of the public points police in the right direction. The officers are then seen running after him, and PC Cooper spots him hiding in the corner of a neighbour's garden. And that's where the arrest happens. He's now been jailed for 36 weeks for offences including theft, handling stolen goods and fraud. And
what have police said?
Kent Police says it shows just how quickly officers have to react in unpredictable situations. Chief Inspector Mark Stubberfield praised the team for acting decisively.
And thank you, Josh. Now, a fire at the former Odeon Cinema in Canterbury sent shockwaves around the city when smoke could be seen for miles. But while the flames were quickly extinguished, the nightmare continued for neighbouring businesses. Several were forced to close immediately following the incident, with some remaining shut 2 weeks later. But what is the future for the area? Well, our reporter Chloe Brewster went to see.
You may remember the images of the former Odeon in Canterbury engulfed in flames. Well, now the structure is causing issues next door.
Tokyo Tea Rooms is one of the most popular clubs in Canterbury, but for the past 2 weeks it's sat vacant after the fire in the Odeon deemed the area to be structurally unsound.
So the fire, we had a really successful night the night before on the Friday, and then at about 2 o'clock on the Saturday day, Valentine's Day, I got a call from a friend saying, or a message saying that there was a fire, and did I know? And at that time I didn't know. And then I got here, the area was cordoned off. There were a few points where I really thought the whole lot was going to go.
Canterbury City Council says urgent work is required to remove the danger, which could include demolishing all or part of the structure. And the council told us in a statement that the owners, Kent Estate Holdings, are actively working with the council and that they have already installed temporary support to the building. But they say the council's awaiting the structural design for the scaffolding so that it can be assessed for any risks to neighbouring properties.
Once that's done, I'm hoping we can get back in there. So it could be a few weeks, it could be a few months. I'm hoping it's the former.
The cinema had been officially abandoned for 5 years at the time of the fire, but it was a popular spot for urban explorers. The owner of Il Postacino told Kent Online that he'd regularly see kids accessing the building via old stairs, and that he'd seen videos online of kids filming inside the cinema. Now, in terms of the cause of the fire, 2 14-year-olds and a 15-year-old remain on police bail on suspicion of arson. Chloe Brewster for KMTV in Canterbury.
And Chloe joins me now in the studio to discuss this further. So Chloe, this is a really worrying time for businesses, but is there a risk or a worry that the Odeon could collapse?
Now, this is something that none of the neighbours want to hear, but there is that risk of the building collapsing. Building inspectors have deemed the site to be unsafe, and Canterbury City Council has issued a Section 77 notice, which is a dangerous structure notice, which means the building requires urgent action to remove that risk. It means the building owners must respond within 2 weeks with either a programme of work or proof that plans are being put in place for the future of the building. At the moment, from my understanding, scaffolding has been put up in place in the meantime, so no collapsed walls, hopefully. But the council says the building freeholders, Kent Estate Holdings, are working with the council to figure out exactly what will be going on into the future.
And on that note, what is the future of the building?
So many people have great memories of the Odeon, but it does seem like, if not a partial demolition of the building, a total demolition of the building is pretty likely. I was told Goody Demolition are on the job and they've been securing and clearing the site. You can see there the fire raging on, clearly causing a lot of damage to that building. It isn't yet certain what exactly will happen for the building. The site had been earmarked in the council's draft local plan to be a 50-home redevelopment, but that wasn't set in stone before the fire took place, and it's definitely a spanner in the works, these fires happening now.
And when will businesses like Tokyo Tea Rooms reopen?
At the moment, we don't know. As Louise said in my report, she doesn't know whether it will be weeks or whether it will be months. Kent Estate Holdings, that's the freeholder as I mentioned, said they can't confirm exact timings for lifting those restrictions yet, as it depends on the findings of any engineer inspections and directions from the relevant local authorities. As you might have seen in my piece there, the scaffolding is in place around the front, but Tokyo Tea Room says it's not necessarily around the back, which means it's still a danger to that club. But it looks like it'll be a wait-and-see situation for now.
Thank you, Chloe. And now it's time for a short break, but coming up, we'll hear from Megan Traw, a reporter who attended the Kent Be a Local Summit, where tradespeople discuss how businesses can work better. We'll also take a quick look at Swirl Assembly in Sittingbourne, hosting Metallica Reloaded, and some drone footage showing damage to an abandoned Ashford building. All that and more, sport and weather after the break. See you soon. Welcome back to Kent Tonight Live here on KMTV. Now, Tunbridge Wells recently hosted the Kent B Corps Local Impact Summit, where local tradespeople gathered to discuss how businesses could operate better. The event was attended by local MP Mike Martin, who backs the Better Business Act, a campaign to make it a legal requirement for every company in the UK to become a B Corporation. But how could this impact your local high street? Well, our reporter Megan Shaw went down to Tunbridge Wells to find out.
This might be a familiar logo to you if you consume products by companies like these. And yesterday, Tunbridge Wells was the host of Kent's Local Impact Summit, where B Corp leaders across the county discussed how businesses could be better.
I'm here to represent Grips, but I'm also here as an interested person in Kent. Grips is very proud to be a B Corp, and bringing other B Corps together. We meet quite often as Kent B Corps, and I think it's really important to keep the momentum of what we're doing. We all believe in a number of things which has led us to become a B Corp.
And it wasn't just tradesmen in attendance.
Tunbridge Wells is certainly the place to be if you want to establish a business. Fantastic, motivated workforce. We've got a great community. All of the businesses work together. It's that when we come back to this B Corp business, which is about your community, your staff, and your business, all of those work together really well in Tunbridge Wells.
Mike Martin is a supporter of the Better Business Act, a campaign led by B Lab that is lobbying to change UK law by amending the Companies Act. Section 172 of the legislation currently states that a director of a company must act in the way he considers in good faith will be most likely to promote the success of the company for the benefit of its members as a whole. But the Better Business Act wants to change this, to make it a legal requirement for directors to act in ways that considers their stakeholders, workers, customers, communities and the environment.
It's March right now, which is B Corp month, and we run this campaign every year. And really what we're trying to do is we're spotlighting B Corps within the movement, and we're really demonstrating through B Corps what purposeful business looks like. And the idea is that it inspires companies not only to potentially become B Corps themselves, but to actually act like B Corps.
Now, all that might seem good in principle, but in practice, what does it really mean? B Corps, that is better corporations, have made a legal pledge to not just consider profit when running their businesses. Instead, things like the impact on people, that includes both customers and the employees, and the environment are factored into how a business is run. And here on the high street of Tunbridge Wells, there are many different businesses, big and small. And one of them, Cook, was founded in Sittingbourne. They manufacture frozen ready meals like this one here. And one of the co-founders, Ed Perry, was one of the founding members of B Corp here in the UK in 2013. And with notes being made and business cards exchanged, the summit may have been a success. But the next time you find yourself on the high street, will a so-called better corporation be at the top of your list? Or just plan B if your usual choice is unavailable? Megan Shaw for KMTV in Tunbridge Wells.
Next up, a new dedicated live music venue called the Swale Assembly is set to open this weekend in Sittingbourne High Street. The site, formerly the home of Live nightclub, was originally bought in January by Stuart Cameron, owner of the live music venue The Booking Hall in Dover. He has since spent around £35,000 renovating the site, including a new bar, stage, flooring, as well as a new Art Deco paint scheme. And with the works entering their final stages, the venue's opening night is set to take place on Saturday and headlined by a Metallica tribute act. And now new drone footage has captured the extent of damage to an abandoned building in Ashford following a huge fire. Swanton House in Elwick Road was originally built back in the 19th century, but had stood empty for more than 20 years before part of the structure caught fire last week. The cause of the blaze has yet to be determined. The new footage shows the part of the top section of the building that was destroyed in the fire, which took crews more than 12 hours to tackle. Now, Ashford Borough Council bosses say that they have moved swiftly to instruct demolition works at the building after experts deemed the building safe. Next, a woman from Folkestone has written 2 children's books inspired by her experiences growing up with selective mutism. By sharing her story, she hopes to raise awareness and help young people feel seen and understood. And I spoke to her husband, Simon, earlier. What has your understanding of it been through supporting Gemma, and how does this affect communication in certain situations for her?
Yeah, so selective mutism, it's an anxiety disorder that affects around 1 in 140 people. And for Gemma specifically, it's something that started from when she was able to talk. There were certain people in her life that she's never been able to communicate with, very close family members, for example. And it also affects her ability to communicate with authority figures like doctors, or teachers at school, which obviously then created a lot of significant challenges for her at school. And as her husband, I find that I have to communicate for her in a lot of situations where we're in public or talking to other people that she's not able to talk with herself.
And you mentioned that you sometimes would communicate for her, but how do you navigate that in public? How do you know when to speak for her without, taking away her autonomy and if she wanted to speak?
That is actually a very difficult challenge to overcome, because you don't want to make it seem like you are, like you said, taking away her own ability to talk. There have been circumstances where I've kind of, just because I've naturally become accustomed to talking for her, I find myself doing it when I necessarily shouldn't be. But it's all about learning Gemma's specific triggers and the way that she will approach situations. There will be little physical cues like touches or facial expressions that will tell me that she's feeling anxious or not able to say anything.
And so Gemma has authored a few children's books. Can you tell us a little bit about these books that she's written, please?
Yes, so she's written 2 books. There's Emma's Granddads, and there's Don't Ask, Don't Get. And these are 2 children's books that are written about, based upon real life experiences that Gemma had as a child. She was unable to talk to either of her grandfathers. And so that is a book that goes into her experiences being somebody who's not able to talk to her grandparents, and then how they felt about it as well. And then Don't Ask, Don't Get is about how she would navigate school.
And here's Finn McDermott with all your sporting news.
First up, and the Gills will be heading to Stadium MK tonight to face off against the club currently second in the league. MK Dons have gone unbeaten in their last 11 league games, winning 7 of them with a 4-1 thrashing of Harrogate at home, their most recent. They're currently 5 points behind Bromley with a game in hand, and they'll be hoping to extend that run against the Gills. Manager Gareth Ainsworth says he believes that the Dons have an endless limit to what they can do because of their financial resources. He added they've spent a lot of money bringing some real top-quality players in, well above this level. If we get something out of that game, it'll be a real positive as well. Maidstone United goalkeeper Lenny Holden has spoken on how it's been to take the spot in between the sticks over injured first-choice man Nathan Harness. While the number 1 is recovering from a concussion, Holden says he's made big strides in his game. He added, "I feel I've matured in my decision-making, things like when we're playing out from the back, deciding when to go long and when to play, and commanding my area." The former Leyton Orient man is set to continue his starting stint, this time against Dagenham and Redbridge tonight. After a loss to Maidenhead at the weekend, there's no doubt the 20-year-old is looking to keep a clean sheet. Over to rugby now, and Medway Women's put in a staggering 13 tries to clip the wings of the Portsmouth Valkyries, defeating them 81-0. Early tries from Ellen MacDonald and Abigail Garthwaite set the tone, leading them 12-0 before more poured in from Esme Conway and Steph Rukin. This meant that Medway came into the break 31 points ahead without any reply. Garthwaite and Rukin added 1 more each to their tally, and once the Valkyries were reduced to 12 players after a card, they continued the fight, but it wasn't enough. The dominant match marked Caroline Jordan's 200th for Medway, while Michelle Darby made her 50th appearance. Let's head over to the rink now, where Invicta Dynamics continued their winning ways with a victory over Milton Keynes Falcons B. The 9-goal thriller was a physical battle on the ice, but was won thanks to a hat-trick from Charlotte Davenport-Jeffrey and a penalty save from Stacey Randall. It was a fairly standard game in the first 2 periods, 2 goals for the Dynamics, 1 for the Falcons, but the third held all the drama. An equaliser meant Davenport-Jeffrey had to restore the lead, then it seesawed back to 4-3 for Milton Keynes. 2 more strikes for the number 4 gave Invicta the lead and the points. They'll host Coventry on the 22nd. And the founder and chief instructor of Canterbury's Sochin Karate Club has won a regional award for his decades of service to the martial art. Georges Dessart is 78 and has been selected as one of the winners of the 2026 Revival Community Awards. He started the club to help boost mental well-being through physical activity and took on a This Girl Can campaign to get more women involved in the sport. The club stages Tai Chi taster sessions as a way of introducing a more gentle version of martial arts for the public and also delivers self-defense sessions to connect with younger audiences. And that's all the time we have for your sports news. See you soon.
And now let's take a quick look at this week's weather. This evening we're going to have rain across the county with temperatures staying around 9 to 12 degrees. Into tomorrow morning, Kent will see some partly cloudy skies with temperatures staying about the same, 9 to 11 degrees. Temperatures getting warmer in the afternoon, ranging from 11 to 13 degrees with partly cloudy skies all over. Looking ahead to Thursday, stays partly cloudy with highs near 12 degrees. Friday turns cooler around 9 degrees with a spell of drizzle, and Saturday brings similar temperatures with few brighter sunny spells developing. Now we've got a short break, but stick with us because there's plenty more coming up afterwards. We'll see you soon. Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight, live on KMTV. I'm Naila Mohammed and here are your top stories on Tuesday the 10th of March. Clash in Cliftonville as voters prepare for hotly contested KCC by-election.
I actually feel very disillusioned.
Two-party system is broken.
True, but I prefer reforms policies now.
Believe in B Corp. Tunbridge Wells hosts local summit to encourage more Kent businesses to make the switch.
This B Corp business, which is about your community, your staff, and your business, all of those work together really well in Tunbridge Wells.
And finally, Made in Kent, our weekly show that takes a look at local businesses that shape the county.
The challenges are none.
A reminder of your top story tonight. The fight for a hotly contested by-election in Thanet is underway in Reform UK's first electoral test since taking County Hall last summer. Sparked by the previous councillor for the area being put behind bars for coercive behaviour, all the major parties at Kent County Council are looking for a win in Cliftonville, which is one of the divisions to turn turquoise in 2025. Local democracy reporter Ollie Leader was out speaking to voters on the coast about where their heats lie.
The first spring sunshine here in Thanet and the promise of change in the air. After all, a month from now, voters will flock to the polls for a Kent County Council by-election touted to be hotly contested. Cliftonville isn't just an idyllic slice of Kentish coastline, but the first electoral challenge for Reform UK since sweeping the local elections last year, with the Greens, Conservatives and Labour all confident they could win here in the division.
No, I'll never vote Conservative or Labour.
To be honest, I've lost faith in the system.
They're thinking about just only big business.
Down here, I don't know. I'm a bit of a lost soul.
Blue skies and turquoise waves, a political divide looming on the horizon. This was once a safely Conservative division, until last May when Daniel Taylor was elected under the Reform banner. Less than a year later, Taylor is behind bars after pleading guilty to coercive behaviour, a criminal history showing little sign of coming back to roost in the by-election sparked by his sentencing.
God, I know he lives a couple of doors away from me. I mean, well, it's not Reform's fault, is it really?
Well, I suppose I'd probably go to Reform rather than any of the others, but that's mainly because of disappointment with both Tory and Labour.
I probably might do Reform again, actually, because it won't be that same bloke anyway.
A cliff edge in support was always unlikely. Reform UK did secure 40% of the vote here last year, but a turn in electoral fortune isn't unprecedented. Labour painted Thanet District Council red back in 2023. Among the bungalows, that success feels further away than it has ever before.
People is thinking Labour has been doing for work people, for small business is going better. My opinion is not now.
With Labour facing challenges in Westminster, voters closer to home are casting their eyes elsewhere.
So I look at the Green Party as what I think people saw the Lib Dems as being, which was the option if you didn't want to vote Labour or Conservative.
I like their policies and believe what they're saying, which is quite refreshing in politics at the moment. So they are most likely to get my vote. It's just that awful stalemate of is it a wasted vote? Are
they fit to run a country? Probably not. Are they fit to run local council? Probably.
Council by-elections are notoriously low turnout. Margins matter here, and there are plenty of unknowns. But speaking to those on the street, local issues are barely coming up. Drawing a line in the sand against the national picture might prove difficult. Ollie Leader in Cliftonville.
Now, if you live in that division and want to vote, you'll need to register by the 20th of March, where you can choose from the following candidates. Charlie Lees for the Conservatives, Rob Yates for Greens, Dr Mo Shafei for Liberal Democrats, Joanne Wright for Labour and Mark Rattigan for Reform UK. And don't forget, you can keep up to date with all your latest stories on our website kmtv.co.uk, like this one.
Another year of government support, but will it be their last? Huge deficits marked Labour-run Medway Council's budget, passed with no amendments.
Mr Mayor, the budget is agreed.
It's important for the people of Medway to know what they can see from their council over the next 12 months. Of course, we know the backdrop to a council budget here in Medway is that really challenging financial circumstance that we inherited from the previous Conservative council. But on top of that, we spend £1.35 million every single day on adult services, children's services, and of course temporary accommodation.
But while Labour struggle to balance the books alongside ensuring services like festivals and libraries continue to run, the opposition have little faith in the council's arithmetic.
No, well, look, we've got serious concerns regarding the budget this evening. You know, £10 million worth of borrowing this year in order to plug the gap over the medium term, over recent years, and also in the next 2 years. That's going to see £60 million worth of borrowing in order to fund day-to-day spending. We've still got a gap in the budget of £8 million next year. The administration is saying that it's confident it can close that gap. We haven't seen that tonight in the medium-term financial projections.
But numbers aside, if you live in Medway, how will the budget affect you? And what are the key takeaways you need to know? Medway Council's tax might be the lowest in Kent, but it's set to rise again by 4.99%, the highest amount without holding a local referendum. Although stays until half an hour will drop to just £1, the 1 hour tariff will rise by 50p, and all other hourly tariffs by 60p. It's a razor edge between spending and saving as the council tries to map out the future of the 5 towns, all squeezed by rising costs of living. Megan Shaw in Medway.
Now, a mum from near Folkestone is raising awareness about Rett syndrome, which doctors diagnosed her daughter with when she was a toddler. The disease, which affects 1 in every 13,000 girls and is very rarely seen in boys, is a genetic mutation that is degenerative. So Poppy Allard, now 11, was born with no symptoms. The condition only revealed itself slightly later. We spoke to her mum earlier.
When Poppy was born, everything was completely normal. And then between a year and 15 months, we could see that she wasn't meeting her milestones and she began to regress. And then we had genetic testing and found out that she had Rett syndrome. It involves so many different things: epilepsy, musculoskeletal problems, sometimes inability to mobilise. Girls can't use their hands. So it's a complex and profound disability, and it has multiple disabilities basically.
We apologise for the technical issues there. Next, the conflict in Iran has entered its second week, and with the Strait of Hormuz blocked, oil and gas prices have risen on a global scale. But what does this mean for businesses in Kent? Well, I spoke to Tudor Price about this earlier today.
So there's 2 elements really. Obviously, in terms of the energy increase, you know, that's going to have a big impact on many businesses that essentially sort of just have their energy bills just go up, because retailers will very quickly pass that on, and it's not just about the fuel that you put in your tank, you know, but actually it's the fuel that's used to drive power stations and all the rest of it. So it will have a huge impact on the bottom line of many businesses just when they're sort of starting to recover from some of the tax rises they had in the last budget.
And you said there's 2 elements to this. The first part was the transport, but then when you think of the wider supply chain, it's not just transport costs that are being affected, you know, it's also consumer goods. And could even food prices be expected to rise?
Absolutely. No, you're quite right. So that supply chain is a big element, because what happens, although we've got ships currently queuing to go through the Strait of Hormuz in the Gulf region there, obviously most people associate those with oil tankers, there is still a huge number of cargo ships which are currently stuck and not being able to move. And of course, they will be scheduled to be somewhere else in the world carrying something else for someone else. So that's having a huge knock-on effect to the supply chain, and we'll suddenly start to see supply issues, you know, in areas where they're expecting a delivery or a shipment to come in. And of course, it's now delayed because that ship is stuck somewhere else.
And there's a lot of uncertainty around this because, like you said, we're not really sure what's going to happen next. So how do businesses prepare for this, or can businesses in Kent prepare for this?
It's a really difficult one to try and anticipate because ultimately you want to know how long this is going to go on for and therefore what sort of provision or preparations you need to put in place. And sadly, as we know, the US foreign policy at the moment is pretty random and sporadic. And so it's very hard to know if this is going to end next week or going to carry on for months.
And we also have a lot of local businesses here in Kent. So how are they going to be able to handle these prices, and what can we expect to see happening to them?
Well, hopefully, many of them will be in a better condition than they were perhaps 3 or 4 years ago when obviously we had Ukraine and things. The challenge, of course, is that the economy is being sort of recovering very slowly, and interest rates play a huge part in that because that affects consumer spend and consumer confidence. So if interest rates have been going down, which they have been, then that means people sort of who have mortgages and things like that or debt, they'll be paying slightly less and therefore they'll have more money in their pocket. And ultimately that turns into consumer spend. But if they're anxious about interest rates going up and therefore costs to their debt and things going up as well, then they're more likely to keep those pounds in their pocket. And that, of course, means that the retailers and hospitality firms won't get that consumer spends.
Now it's time for our final break, and we'll see you soon. Welcome back to Kent Tonight here on KMTV. Now, as always, here in the Garden of Eden, there's plenty of news from across the county. Today's features the nominations for the Kent Children's Awards, a new school scheme that sees small libraries dotted across the county to encourage reading, and an abandoned cinema in Ashford coming back to life as a theatre. And Julia Dremo joins me in the studio now. So, Julia, can you tell us about this first story?
Yeah, so nominations are now open for a set of awards celebrating some of Kent's most courageous and inspiring children, families and charities. Residents across the county are being encouraged to nominate individuals or organisations that have made a positive difference in their community. The annual awards, Children Awards, aim to recognise everyday heroes, including brave young people who have overcome challenges, selfless volunteers, families who support those around them, and charities that work hard to help others. The organisers of the awards believe that many acts of kindness and determination often go unnoticed, so these awards are an opportunity to celebrate those who make a real impact on people's lives. Anyone in Kent can submit a nomination for someone that they believe deserves recognition for their efforts and dedication. After nominations close, a judging panel will review the entries and select the finalists, and the winners will then be announced at a special awards ceremony later on this year. The organisers say that they hope that the awards will highlight uplifting stories from across the county and shine a light on people helping to make Kent a better place. Nominations are now open, and the closing date for the nominations is Friday, the 8th of May.
That sounds really lovely. And you've got another story for us about some free libraries dotted around the county?
Yeah, so the next story is about the Global Little Free Library scheme, which is becoming increasingly popular across Kent. The idea of the scheme is very straightforward. Small bookcases are placed outside homes, in parks, or in community spaces. Anyone passing by can take a book to read or leave one for someone else to read. The scheme encourages people to read more and connect with their neighbours. More of these little libraries are appearing in neighbourhoods across the county, giving people the opportunity to read more and swap stories, discover new authors, and encouraging people of all ages to read. Supporters of the scheme believe that it helps bring communities together and it makes reading more accessible for everyone. And what helps to make the scheme work is the people who help run them. Each little library is looked after by volunteers who keep them stocked and tidy and accessible for the community. John Vinner is one of the residents helping to maintain a little library in his area in Maidstone, and he has done so since 2016. He said he got the idea to start a little library after visiting family in the United States and seeing a few of them around Washington, DC. After launching one in his area, he began helping residents launch their own in their own areas by donating books to get them started and offering guidance on how to build these structures. So if you see a little library in your area, feel free to take a book or leave one for someone else to read.
And have you ever seen a library like this?
I actually haven't.
I don't think I have either, and I know this year is the year of reading, so do you have a favourite book?
I like the Bridgerton books.
I've known that I've seen the series, and I can't say I'm that much of a fan.
Oh.
But you do have one other story for us. Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
So the next story is about plans to bring an old building in Ashford back to life. An abandoned cinema and former bingo hall on the high street could be turned into a new theatre with space for around 200 people. The building used to be an Odeon cinema before becoming a Mecca bingo hall, but it's been empty for a number of years. And now the council leaders say they want to transform the site into a small theatre and performance space. The idea is that it could host things like plays, comedy shows, live music and community performances. Supporters say it could help bring more people into the town centre, especially in the evenings, and give local performers somewhere to showcase their work. If the plans do go ahead, the theatre would hold around 200 people, making it a smaller venue focused on local productions and events. And the hope is that the project would also help to revive the empty building and breathe new life into that part of Ashford's High Street.
And do you go to the theatre often yourself?
I've been a few times in the past.
Is this a theatre one that you would go and visit?
Yeah, definitely.
I think I would too. I quite like the theatre.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me in the studio today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Now, later tonight, our latest episode of Made in Kent airs, a show where we take a look at how local businesses shape the county. So let's take a look at some of the show's previous episode highlights.
I'm here at Yielding Forge to learn more about the craft of blacksmithing. Owner Tim Dunmore told us about his work and the services he provides to the local community.
The majority of my work is commission-based, so a customer will come to me wanting a particular thing. They might have a design in mind, or they might have no idea what they want, but they need a railing, for example.
I headed down to the Good Shed in Canterbury to understand how the fresh produce trade works and also to get a sense of the community around it.
My business is Patriana Limited, which was started in 2005 with the aim to import products from France and Spain initially, but now we have Italian products as well. So we mostly import direct or get through specialist distributors.
The challenges are none. It's just an amazing place. You get to interact with, wonderful customers,
Okay, so first and foremost, art and culture has the potential to benefit the economy and fabric of society. It is also evident that participation in artistic activities like theatre, dance, crafts and photography can reduce social isolation, often improving mental health and fulfilment and self-esteem.
Here at Humphreys and Parks, a family-owned car dealership right here in West Malling, and I've just spoken to the owner and his son about what a family business means to them.
When children grow up, you have a lot of time with them when they're young. When they grow up, you rarely see them. They move away. Perhaps you might only see your kids once a month. So I see the boys every day.
Trading card games, or TCGs, have been around for years. Modern TCGs are now over 30 years old, with the release of Magic the Gathering in 1993, and has continued to expand throughout the decades.
I visited the many card stores in Kent to see what the local community is like.
There has always been a big gaming community in Kent. Magic the Gathering is very strong here, Pokemon is very strong here.
We've got a great TCG community around us. Specifically, that community focuses on Pokemon. As a town, we see a lot of the same faces in here quite regularly.
And Foray joins me in the studio now. So Foray, what can audiences expect from your average Made in Kent episode?
Yeah, so Made in Kent is a show that dives into the business and cultural side of Kent's economy. The show highlights how unique Kent businesses are. We speak to small local business owners, their colleagues and employees to get a wider view of the business, the behind the scenes of their work. We also from time to time ask customers as well as the general public, but every week we explore an array of businesses through particular themes. Over the past weeks, we have done topics like arts and crafts, music, and hair and beauty.
And what can viewers expect from tonight's Made in Kent episode?
For tonight's episode, we'll be going into the world of Kent's multicultural businesses, looking at the cultural diversity of businesses. Tonight's episode, we'll be looking at the Asian food market in Canterbury, South Asian fashion, as well as speaking to general public about what they thought of multicultural businesses and whether they should be supported. And of course, our deep dive chat, where we'll explain the history of Kent's multicultural society and, as always, the key stats.
And why should people tune in?
Well, I think it's important to learn more about the local area. Kent is one of the top 10 biggest counties in the country, so it's important to explore all it has to offer. We at Made in Kent look at a variety of different businesses week by week and have given several people a voice to tell their livelihoods. It's also important to provide the audience a better chance to better understand the local economy, as well as why supporting small businesses can go a long way.
And so, Foray, can you tell me what's been your favourite week so far? What's been your favourite episode?
So, my favourite week was the Arts and Crafts Week. It was really interesting to see all the creative businesses that are here just in Kent. We looked at candle making, pottery making, and it was just really interesting to talk to the business and see how they make their money and how they survive off their businesses.
And tell me a bit about the businesses. I bet you've spoken to so many different types.
Yeah.
What's been your favourite one to visit so far?
My favourite one has been Textures and Curls, which is the first black hair beauty products shop in Canterbury. And this has been like it was a really good shop to go and visit because it was like, we spoke to a lot of different customers and a lot of different people, and they said that they would have to travel so far just to get some hair beauty products. So it was really encouraging to see that the county or the city was diversifying and it was bringing in more black hair awareness, honestly, and it was really good to see.
And from being involved in the show, what do you think people may not be aware about Kent's businesses or their economy?
I don't think people know all the small local businesses they could go to. I think people are just used to the big chains and just like going to the regulars that they normally do, and nobody really looks into, or not many people look into the little smaller shops that you could visit that and you could also enjoy equally as the chain restaurants. So I think Made in Kent is a really good opportunity to draw light to those type of businesses and also just show that these small businesses are here as well, and they are also as good as the chains that you would normally visit. So I think it's really important, and it's really nice to showcase those aspects as well.
And really quickly, where can viewers watch Made in Kent?
Well, of course, people can. All of our previous episodes are on kmtv.co.uk, but our upcoming episode tonight will be live at 7 p.m. on Freeview Channel 7 and Sky 159.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And you've been watching Kent Tonight live on KMTV. There's more news made just for Kent throughout the evening. Don't forget, you can always keep up to date with the latest news across your county by logging on to kmtv.co.uk. You can also keep us on your social timelines by liking us on Facebook, TikTok and Instagram. And if you think you have a story we should be covering, then do get in touch. We also have a series of special programmes you've just heard about Made in Kent. We also have Invicta Sport and Based in Kent, which you can watch throughout the week. But for me, for now, that's all, and have a very good evening. We'll see you soon. Goodbye.